everybody? It's Dsmoovee, Voice of the Streets. Look, make sure you are tapping into the YouTube channel. Subscribe on the Streets 314. Type that in right now. Like, don't wait. Well, watch the video first, but make sure you subscribe to the channel, please and thank you. If you see the background, you see what's going on. See the amazing ambiances by TB Studio, our sponsor. So make sure you shout them out. Make sure you follow them. Make sure you tap in with them. Of course, I have some of the dopest people in the city with me at all times. I have today Miss Shardea, professional princess, educator, passionate about education, a mother, and an entrepreneur. Ms. Shardea, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I want you to introduce the world, let them know who you are, because it's rarely that we have a professional princess here, and we actually get to see one up close in person.
Well, first off, that was quite the honor. I'd never been introduced so well, but I am a professional princess. Like you said, I get to embody all the beautiful, magical characters and bring joy to so many little girls and boys. But for the rest of my life, I consider myself a teacher. I am an educator. So regardless of what I'm doing, I'm a teacher first.
I love it.
Yes, and I am a very proud mother. I have a 17-year-old.
Yeah, shout him out.
That's right. Go Isaiah. He just came back from an HBCU college tour, so I'm really looking forward to what happens next with him.
That's what's up. You put him on the right track.
You know what? I
tried.
Yeah. Yes.
That's amazing. And being able to not only be a mother, but to be able to focus on education for your son and for the others in the districts. I think we talked a little bit off air. I know you worked for SLPS. Shout out to SLPS and shout out to everybody up there. But I want to talk to you about what your passion for education or where it came from firstly.
Whew. You got time?
I do. I got
all right.
time.
All right.
Actually, you do, but they're going to give us a countdown. So.
Okay. I'll keep it brief. Well, I'll be very honest. It really comes from my experience in childhood. A lot of people walk into education and just say there's this true love of children. I'll be honest, it came from my experience growing up with my grandmother. I was raised by my neighbor.
Okay.
Yes, my neighbor adopted me.
Really?
She did. Yes, my neighbor adopted me. And she was an older woman who was the neighborhood babysitter. And over time, I came to learn that she had some reading challenges. And it's something she would never own and say out loud, but I noticed that as a little girl, I had to write everything for her.
Yeah.
I had to write all of her letters, or let's say I had to write all of her numbers. I had to spell them out so that when I was at school and she maybe had to go to the bank, she knew how to write the number 5 or 25. I had to fill out all of her paperwork. So I spent my life really serving as her translator, as her scribe. And
that penmanship must be amazing.
It is.
Okay,
it is. I'm a princess after all.
Yeah,
yes. Yes, but I lived a life alongside of someone who wasn't afforded the quality education that I felt like she deserved. And she stopped going to school in the 6th grade to take care of her family.
Wow.
And so I saw what it's like to have to adapt to the world and keep your secret. And we didn't have a household where we had a lot of books in our homes. I was never read to as a child. And I wanted to give children the life that I deserved and also the experience that my grandmother deserved.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you, like you said, you transferred that passion into our schools in St. Louis and across the world. But before we go back to that, like I said, I love the fact that we had I love off-air conversations.
Yeah.
But sometimes I want to bring them on air because it's real dope stuff. So I did not know you were in broadcasting. Talk to us about that portion of your life.
Sure. Briefly, as a little girl growing up where I grew up, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to be when I grew up. That's the question everyone asked, right? I kept saying, I want to be a beautician. And I loved hair.
Did you?
Oh my goodness, I loved hair, yes.
Okay.
So I decided I wanted to be a beautician, but I had a principal once who said, actually, I think you will really thrive being in journalism, broadcast journalism. To be honest, I had to go back and Google it. What is that? And so that fire was lit. And so I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Okay.
I majored, go Cornhuskers. And I majored in broadcast journalism. And I majored in broadcast journalism, and I would say while I was in school,
Yeah.
I won't say I took a detour, but there was a fork in the road.
Yeah.
I became a mother.
Yeah.
And I had to make some decisions about where my life was going to go next. But I spent some time working at PBS. That was amazing because my son was so new. My son was about 2 or 3 years old, and he used to. PBS. Oh my goodness! To this day, he's 17. To this day, he says that was his favorite job that I've ever had.
Word.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Because he used to sit on my desk and watch Elmo and PBS and all the things.
Oh, like you had him hooked up like that?
Oh yes, he had his preschool come to my job, and we did a whole entire experience for him.
Oh, you was that mom.
Oh, I was that mom.
Whoa.
Yes, yeah. There isn't a cooler mom.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
up.
he's welcome.
I wish. I wish.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And back to.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's more to the story. My life didn't stop there in terms of broadcasting. While I had to put that on hold for a little bit and do something a little bit different from my major, so I spent some time as a recruiter for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, living in Chicago. That was incredible. That allowed me to also be a really full-time mom. But eventually, I moved to the Middle East.
That's amazing.
Yes, I moved to the Middle East. My son learned Arabic. I learned Arabic as well.
You speak it fluently?
Listen, I live in St. Louis now.
Okay, so you
Yes.
speak here, there, everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah, you speak that
when you don't
fluently.
use something, you lose it,
you
unfortunately.
Yes, right.
Yes. But while I was there, I got to work in production. I was an international producer and loved every single moment of it. So I got to live my dream.
Absolutely.
Yes, and then I transitioned back to St. Louis, or to St. Louis for the very first time. I didn't know anything about St. Louis. I actually lived across the street from your studio here.
Yeah.
And I got here, and I learned that the school district was unaccredited.
Yes.
And I thought I was being punked. Like, seriously, I did not think that was a thing. I did not know that children could go to a school where the school district was unaccredited. And it made me so angry. Like, when I say I was angry, I was furious.
I gotta look at her eyes when I watch
I
this
was
video.
furious.
I see the eyes.
Yes. Because I was thinking, I've made all these sacrifices. I've changed careers. I've done all the things to put my son in the best school districts.
Yeah.
And now, because I transitioned to St. Louis, I was going to have to send my son to a school far less than he deserved. Because I decided I wanted to live in a loft downtown.
Yeah.
No ma'am, no sir. Not on my watch. So I marched across the street. I got to Googling and I didn't know who to call. I didn't know that the district office was just a block or two away. I had no idea. But I saw there was a Teach for America office across the street.
Yeah.
So I literally walked across the street and I had a meeting with them and I asked them to explain it to me, tell me that this is not the truth.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, sweetheart, unfortunately it is. And I was like, I gotta do something. I mean, I can volunteer, I can do. And they're like, oh no, you should be a teacher. And I was like, oh, no. No, I'm a producer. No.
Yeah,
No.
that
Yes.
sound good,
Yeah, but the rest is history.
I love the fact that you went to something that you didn't know that you were going to be a part of, and being able to help the students out at SLPS, and being able to, because it started out, a lot of people, your journey starts out as personal, but then it turns into something that happens to affect everybody that you come across.
Oh yeah.
And that's beautiful, because walking down that street or walking across that street, you didn't know you were going to change the lives of so many young kids. And I just want to ask you, how does that make you feel firstly, before I ask you, how did St. Louis treat you when you got here?
I feel a sense of peace when I hear it back, even when I hear myself say it. I don't take credit for it, that I am out here changing the world. I just feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I feel at peace, I feel like God's work. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about St. Louis? Well, your most memorable thing, I should go with that, because how long have you been living now?
7 years.
7 years. The city has so many different nuances to it, but I love to ask people who just got here, what's your most memorable thing about it?
St. Louis has been good to me. I have nothing but amazing things to say about St. Louis. I don't know anybody else's story, and that is not my business.
Yeah.
St. Louis has been amazing to me.
I love
St.
it.
Louis embraced me.
I love it.
I don't know if they just saw like, "Ooh, baby girl, you're not from here." I don't know, but St. Louis has been amazing to me.
For some weird reason, we can always tell when somebody is not born and raised here.
Yeah.
And like it's just little like tall tale signs to just give it.
Okay.
Like honestly, I can't name them all, but it's definitely
okay.
It's some. So getting into now being labeled as the professional princess. Talk to me about that title when you got it, and what did you see? Like, was the immediate effect when you became that princess for the young students?
Wow. Well, first I was an educator. I was in the classroom before I became a princess. If you would have told me that this is what I would be doing with my life, I would laugh hysterically, like hysterically. I am not someone who spends a lot of time playing in makeup or dressing up. Even when I was a little girl, I didn't have as much of a childhood as one might expect. And so it just wasn't ever something I imagined for myself. But being in the classroom, I got to, first off, it was home. I never thought I would leave the classroom. I thought I would spend the rest of my life teaching those babies. Like, I love it. Like, seriously love it. But I will say, when I was in those classrooms, I saw myself in those girls, in those little boys. I saw that many of them didn't have childhoods because they were burdened with adult responsibilities. I saw that many of them had, I would say, maybe severed or challenging relationships with their parents. I saw myself. And so I found myself just wanting to be there for them, like give them just a little bit of a reprieve. Even if it's for the 55 minutes that you are with me, I wanted to give you a sense of like childhood and for you to feel seen, heard, and understood. Yeah. And it was so transformative. And as a professional princess, I get to do the same thing, just in a costume, yes. You know? And so, can I actually tell you how I became one?
Please, I want to know.
Because again, I didn't just like wake up one day and say, ooh.
Yeah, I just want to be a princess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a girlfriend who, from St. Louis, she has a little girl and she was having a birthday party. And she called and said, this is going to sound wild, but sis, how would you feel if I bought you a dress and you showed up to my daughter's birthday party as her favorite princess? And I was like, oh, that's wild. That's wild. Let me think about it. And she tried to sell me on it. She was like, oh, but you're so gorgeous. You're so eloquent. You're just like naturally this, naturally that. And I was like, I am really flattered. Whew, that's a lot. And so I did my research. I watched some movies and I was like, sign me up. I'll do it.
Do it, yeah.
She gassed me up and then last minute her daughter said, never mind, I want a different princess. And so I never did it for her daughter. I didn't do that for her daughter that year. She chose a different princess who I don't necessarily resemble. Yeah. But it planted the seed.
Absolutely.
I was like, I could do this. I could do this. And it aligned to my mission in the classroom. It just made sense. So I called her one day and just said, I think I want to do this. And she was like, do it. Do it. I will do whatever I can to market for you, to like share this with you. And eventually I did do her daughter's birthday party about maybe a year later. Okay. Yeah. But my first party I ever did, I showed up as the princess. My heart was racing. I was so terrified. I was terrified she was gonna like realize I was a regular person and I wasn't a princess. She was so transformed. The adults in the room were like transformed. They were taken back to childhood. I just saw the light in everyone's eyes. I'm telling you, I have never left a party or an event without tears in my eyes as I'm walking to my car because it is electric. You can feel the energy and the passion and the magic. Like grown men are like, oh my God, that's a princess. Like it's beautiful.
I love it because honestly, that's kind of how I found you. Yeah. You know, and shout out to Brother Julius and everybody at the Black Literacy. I forgot the rest of the title, but they doing their thing. I just want to say thank you so much for what you do and what you're doing. And my last question to you is, how can we help the literacy of kids in today's world?
My goodness. There's so much that we can do. So you might know that I am an educational consultant. So I support literacy initiatives across the nation. But being here in St. Louis, there is one of the greatest needs in the country to support and actually transform, shift, overhaul. I use all the verbs. Our literacy, our approach to literacy here. So one of the first things is our parents have to read to their children at home. Like, they have to. But I also understand there's a barrier there sometimes. Some of our parents don't necessarily come or feel the most confident in their reading abilities. So get our students to the libraries. Get our students to some after-school activities. One of the other things I would say is to ensure that all of our Black children, or just children in general, need books in their hands.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I love about the work that Julius is doing is he's making sure that the books that our children are reading reflect their own identities.
Love that.
That is really, really important. That's what I do as a princess. I don't take any commitment without knowing that I can read to the students. So even if I'm coming to your birthday party or to your school event, I make sure that children get to see a Black princess reading to them, reading a book with a Black character, Black protagonist. They get to see like my joy as a princess, like for reading, I drag it out.
I know you probably bring it to life.
Oh, I do.
can hear it in your voice. Like you probably bring it to life, and it's like
I do.
Probably like you're taking them in another world. I can kind of vividly remember like being able to have story time in elementary school and just being so happy because it takes you to another world.
Oh yes. Sometimes our kids, we need an escape. We need to like dive into a book and go somewhere else, you know. It takes us on this journey. So I love being able to have the children sit at my feet and I get to call them princess, whatever their name is. Mm-hmm. So if your daughter's name is Kiana, Princess Kiana, what happens next? Princess Kiana, what is and they love it. I love it. It's beautiful. Absolutely. And I make sure I tell them I read every single day. As a princess, I read a book every single day. And then when I leave, they'll be like, I want to read a book too. It's super sweet.
I love the fact that you are really, really pushing the narrative for reading and literacy. And I just want to thank you for what you do. I want to thank you so much for being the visual for our young Black girls, that they get to see somebody that looks like them and looking so beautiful that they just want to emulate something that's positive. And that just sums up everything that you do. Not everything, but that sums up a little bit of what just dressing up as a princess is for you. So thank you so much, Ms. Shardea. We appreciate you coming out. If you could, please tell people how they can book you, how they can get in touch with you, how they can, if they want the professional princess experience, how can they get that?
They can find me at Princess Parties of STL on Facebook. I can be reached at the phone number 314-881-8501.
Give them a number too. Okay.
Yes, right, call me. I am a phone call away. I'm a personal professional princess, okay?
Absolutely.
Yes. Website coming one day. I'm a busy person. So I don't let that stop me from reaching these students. So you can find me on Facebook and call or email me. Same thing, princesspartiesofstl@gmail.com.
So look, I don't know any like Black princes, but I'm gonna have to lose some weight and be a Black prince, and
okay.
I'm gonna just try to go into the schools with you.
I need a Prince Naveed. The kids always ask me,
okay.
Where's Prince Naveed?
We might have found him.
Okay.
So we definitely find it. But I definitely want to do something with you. So I'm gonna do my best to fit in. I'm gonna probably be like Peter, the Black Peter Pan or something.
Okay, we can work it out.
I can't be Peter Pan. I'm sorry.
You could be something.
I could be something.
Listen,
we'll figure it out.
Through Christ, you can be anything you want to be.
I can contact her directly to make sure that you get this amazing princess at your birthday party or at your school. Okay.
School. I do etiquette classes.
Etiquette classes.
Yes.
That's something to touch on, but I'm gonna definitely have to ask you about that.
Okay.
We'll have another off-air conversation.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll show you which fork to use.
Absolutely. We would talk about that. Look, thank you to our sponsors, TV Studio. Thank you to Key Productions. Big shout out to T Strong, and big shout out to Andy behind the camera. We want to thank you so much. And all we ask you do is to subscribe to the YouTube channel On the Streets 314. Peace.